The phrase based on a true story tends to show up often in movies, especially in that of the horror genre. However, the inspiration of the plot of a movie, or even the production surrounding the movie, can be shrouded in horror and tragedy. Here are 5 examples of this. The Crow, released in 1994, was a film adaptation of the 1989 comic book of the same name. It was directed by Alex Proyas, and it starred Brandon Lee. The production of the film was surrounded in injury and tragedy, as several crew members were injured in separate situations. One of these incidents led to the death of Brandon Lee. Only 8 days before the production ended, Lee was shot and killed by a prop gun. Although this situation should have never happened in the first place with all the safety precautions in place, an unfortunate and specific chain of events took place in order for this accident to occur. I actually want to go further in depth about this, about how exactly this happened and the chain of events that led to the death of Brandon Lee. So if you do want to see a video covering this accident, click on the card in the corner and vote. Through several decades, we have seen many film adaptations of the vampire that we all know as Dracula. Most of these adaptations are based on the 1897 Gothic horror novel simply named Dracula. However, the ghoul that we all know and love is supposedly from one of history's most infamous rulers, Vlad III Dracula, also known as Vlad the Impaler. The Wallachane ruler earned the nickname for his cruel acts towards those that earned a punishment of some kind. He had various methods of torture, including boiling people alive and burning mothers at the stake alongside their own children. Despite this, his reported torture method of choice was to impale, hence his name. Under his rule, close to 100,000 people faced death in these cruel and unthinkable ways. Ed Gein was also known as the Butcher of Plainfield after he robbed the graves of people in Plainfield, Wisconsin, and after he used their skin and bones as keepsakes and trophies. Gein was arrested in his home for the grave robberies, but they found something else. They found a couch upholstered with skin, tables made of bones, and a robe made from the skin of his victims. He eventually confessed to killing 2 women. Despite this, many believe that he killed more. Gein was eventually found guilty for his crimes, and he was committed to a mental health institution where he died in 1984 at the age of 77. Gein's story was loosely tied in with a number of films, including Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as he served as a model for Norman Bates and Leatherface. Jeepers Creepers is one of the more notable horror franchises, sporting 2 sequels. Despite the success of the franchise, the director of all 3 films, Victor Salva, has a dark past. Salva was convicted in 1988 of child molestation and possession of child pornography. This stems from an incident where Salva sexually abused a 12-year-old male actor that was starring in his film Clown House. He also reportedly videotaped the incident. Salva was sentenced to 3 years, but he only served 15 months as he was let out on parole, of which he completed in 1992. The movie Hostel was originally going to be a documentary. Yes, one of the most infamous torture porn movie franchises started out as a film that documented a website brought to director Eli Roth's attention. The website essentially offered the chance for any person to pay $10,000 to go to Thailand and kill a person. The website claimed that the person signed up for it and that part of the money would go to the person's family as they were broke and going to die anyway. Roth eventually scrapped the idea of the documentary, but he used a bit of inspiration for the luckily fictional movie Hostel.